This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Hello and welcome to another inspiring episode of A Different Kind of Woman. Now, A Different Kind of Woman is self-aware, and on today's show we're going to be talking about something that many women are not comfortable talking about. Yes, we're talking about that time of the month. Now, why are periods still such a taboo, even in Western societies and even among women? Well, on today's show, PMS, the good, the bad, and the ugly, we're going to be discussing everything about menstruation, from pain and hormones to health concerns. And joining me is the lovely Liliana and the daring Diane. Welcome, ladies.
Hey.
Glad to have you, Liliana. Glad to have you, Diane. We haven't been on in a long time, so glad to have you. Now, so today we're talking about something that, like we said, many women really don't feel comfortable talking about it, and I hope you will feel comfortable because we want to bring a lot of insight to other women's. Now, when it comes to periods, how much do they affect your lives?
Oh my gosh, my period affects my life. It is my life. I can have 2.5 weeks going through like the beginning, the middle, and the end. So I'll have at the beginning, it will be like I feel really tired, like tired, exhausted, tired. And then I might get migraines or headaches. And then I actually have my cycle, and then it's just like, you know.
So the symptoms begin before the actual cycle?
Definitely. And it's always different. It's not always the same, but you know, most of the time it is. Like I've noticed for the last 2 months, I've got a zit. And everybody can see this zit, maybe.
You
can't see it on camera. Well, now what's happening is I'm getting that one. I stopped getting them for a long time, and they're coming back again. So I'm wondering if there's something in my diet that I'm not doing properly. Yeah.
Do they affect you much,
So
Liliana?
today I can say not as much, but that's because I'm taking like contraceptives. But before it was, oh my goodness, it was so bad sometimes. There was a moment that I've actually fainted because of it. And there's even been moments in school where I had to be sent home because it was unbearable. The pain was unbearable. So yes, it has affected me greatly.
It doesn't sound so good for you guys. I mean, they do affect my life too. I get a lot of pain, but thankfully painkillers are able to kind of kick in and help me out with the pain. Now, before we delve into the topic further, let's find out what people on the streets of London think with Priscilla.
Why can't we discuss our periods? Is Zen Flow visiting? Are Liverpool playing at home? The Swedish may say lingonberry week and the German strawberry week. Despite all the social and professional advances for women, the monthly period is still treated as a taboo. Funnily enough, the word taboo comes from the word tapua, which means menstruation. Because of this persisting social stigma, women still find the need to hide their tampon up their sleeve, or are too embarrassed to talk about it to their bosses or teachers. A recent survey by Clue, a women's health app, that received 90,000 responses, 95% of Algerians can talk to their female relatives about their periods. 86% of Russian women and girls would hate to talk about it to their male classmates. 93% of Pakistanis wouldn't talk to male family members about it, while 45% of Swedes would. Premenstrual syndrome, PMS, is the name given to the physical, psychological, and behavioral symptom that a woman experiences 2 weeks before their monthly period. It is also known as premenstrual tension, PMT. There are many different symptoms of PMS, but the typical examples include breast pain, bloating, feeling irritable, and losing interest in sex. These symptoms usually improve when your period starts and it disappears a few days later. Nearly all women of childbearing age experience some premenstrual symptoms, but women in their late 20s and early 40s are more likely to experience PMS. Around 1 in 20 women have symptoms that are severe enough to stop them living their normal lives. This is often a result of a more severe type of PMS. Let's find out what the public thinks. How comfortable are you to discuss your periods?
I'm really comfortable discussing my period because I don't think it's something that should be considered an embarrassing thing, because pretty much every woman goes through it. And it's just a part of everyday life. It shouldn't be an embarrassing thing because, you know, just because men find it inconvenient and they don't have to go through it themselves doesn't mean that it's not a really, really important thing to discuss. So yeah, they just don't understand. So it's something that's inconvenient to them, so therefore they shouldn't really have to deal with it. And I think that's wrong. I feel like they need to be, you know, brought up with it. I think it needs to be spoken about, I think, personally.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'm comfortable because it's a natural thing and it's normal, and if we didn't have them, we wouldn't be here. So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly comfortable with speaking about it.
I'm pretty comfortable. It's something I don't shy away from. I talk about it with my male friends or female friends whenever I have it.
Sometimes it's quite awkward, but sometimes I'm in the mood when I'm okay with to speak about it. But yeah, sometimes it's not really comfortable.
How much have your life ever been affected by your menstrual cycle?
I really hate my period because it's very uncomfortable, and the days when I have it, it's horrible. Yeah, it affects me a lot because I don't know, I have a pain, I can't work, for example, but I can't. Yeah, that's the problem. That I actually can't say, for example, my employer that I have a period so that I can't work.
It's been affected pretty much by it. I'd say the worst it's affected me is where I just basically haven't been able to leave my house, and I had to basically plan my whole week based on it.
Well, I suppose before I started taking a steroid for a rare disease that I have, I used to have shocking periods, vomiting, diarrhea, lots of pain. Then I was diagnosed with a rare disease called hereditary angioedema, and I've been given a steroid to take that, and I haven't had a period since.
I mean, I suffer quite badly with bad period pains, and yeah, it can be quite debilitating. And I feel like a lot of the time, you know, you're kind of expected just to get on with your daily life. If you moan about period pains, men don't take you seriously. You know, oh, she's hormonal, she's this. But actually, given the circumstances, I reckon a lot of men having to go through that pain every month, they really wouldn't.
A test though on it, didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
they did
yeah.
a test and they put the
And,
patches on men, and yeah, they didn't do well.
Birth control pills. They basically ended up stopping the study because they got like PMT.
Aggressive.
You know. Yeah,
Wasn't
basically.
it?
Yeah.
Like we do.
But yeah, if they, you know, if it was more like in the vernacular, if it was spoken about more, I think, you know, this taboo would just slowly go.
Well, that's it from us in the streets of London, and it's back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. So we certainly had a lot of interesting opinions there. And I'm glad to see that, I mean, we had split opinions. Some were comfortable talking about their periods, and some were not so comfortable. Some would not have a problem telling their bosses about it. And we saw one lady who wouldn't even let their boss know why they're not coming into work if they are struggling with period pains. And I want to know, how comfortable are you talking about your periods with the men in your life?
I'm really comfortable. I think I'm a bit too
So
comfortable.
who are the men involved in your life, first of all?
My boss is a man. Mm-hmm. A lot of my peers they're men.
They're male. Mm-hmm.
My husband. Yeah, that's who's around me.
So then you're saying you would not have a problem, for example, reporting in to your boss that you're not coming in because of your periods?
Definitely not.
Well done for you. I don't think I should.
It just made me question now, because I was going to say I'm very comfortable speaking to my husband, even though okay, we are newlyweds, so I am comfortable. I let him know. But when it comes to my boss, I wouldn't tell him.
You wouldn't tell him?
I think I would think twice as well about speaking to my boss, and that shows still that it is a taboo topic, that many women shy away from it. Now, why do you think so many women are ashamed of this topic?
I think it has to do a lot with from when you grow up, you are kind of taught, you know, I was taught to hide it. That's, do you know what I mean? Like, I grew up, make sure the seat, look, you know, when you get up, look back, oh, yep, everything's good. So I grew up with that, just make sure no one knows about it. Which only my mum knew, but she would always teach me, it's not something you go out and tell people. So I think growing up with that, then it might turn into feeling ashamed. And then you just, basically, that's why people stay so quiet about it, because they kind of probably think it's disgusting, like, you know, when you actually think about it.
Do you know, I didn't really think about it like that, because I'm all right discussing it, so I don't really think about it on the flip side, but if you're not okay discussing it, because it affects my life.
And so what is your mindset that makes you so comfortable talking about it? Like, what is it in you that makes you so comfortable?
Because it's such a part of my life. It's like...
So you see it as a normal thing, as a normal, you know, everyday
I see it as a normal thing.
Once a month thing.
No, I do. I see it as normal. It happens to every woman. You know, some, like that lady said, she's on medication now where it stops her periods, but 9 times out of 10 it happens to every single woman. So every single man knows that a woman has a period. So this is reality.
Yeah, and I think the stigma comes from, I think, from way back when you first have your periods, and how how they're seen and they're viewed when you're that young. Because I had my periods when I think I started my periods when I was about 11. And from then on, a lot of my peers around me didn't have their periods. So I remember, you know, everybody finding out that I was on my period. And sometimes you go to gym class, and so, you know, girls find out and, oh, what? You having your periods? And they would laugh, and they made a lot of, you know, fun. Although in my household, in my house, I was quite free to speak about it. But the reaction that I had at school, and then the girls going out and telling my, you know, the male colleagues and everybody, laughing at me. I remember wishing the ground could just open up and swallow me. So I felt embarrassed, and I think from then on we kind of carry those internal messages within us that, you know, that it's a stigma, that it's something that I need to hide. Although I don't know, you're saying that your parents were kind of instructed you not to talk about it.
I was just going to say, that was with people of outside.
Yeah, but inside the home.
But inside, for example, when I did start, my mum was calling my grandma, my auntie. Oh, Lily's a woman now.
Yeah, I think every member of the family actually does that, don't they?
It's like a celebration thing. So on that aspect, I felt embarrassed, because, Mum, why are you telling Granddad?
Interesting story, just hold on. We're going to take a short break, but stay tuned and take a look at what's coming up next. We're going to take a stress or PMS test.
I've never done a little bit of exercise to get rid of them. It's the last thing on my mind that I want to do.
Yeah. I learned that as a trick from a friend. Really? So yeah, but it didn't help with the headache. It just helped with the cramps.
Okay.
Yeah,
I might try that.
Yeah.
Welcome back. On today's show, PMS, the good, the bad, and the ugly, we've been discussing why it's a taboo topic. And before we went to break, Liliana had a story to finish. So your mom called everyone in your house and let them know Lily is has started her periods.
And she even called family abroad.
Oh my.
But who doesn't do that though? Didn't your family do that?
Well, mine did.
Yeah.
I think thank God my family's a lot smaller.
No, my family is huge.
I think every household does that, Lily.
But it was just, I didn't mind so much aunties, but it was your granddad. And you're a woman now. And you're like, oh.
No, thank God. And I think we had few males in my family, so I had my mom, I had my mom's aunt, which I considered grandmother, and I had my mom's mom, which I also considered grandma, and my brother. So my brother luckily was away on they did call him, by the way. They did call him, they did let him know, and they did put me on the phone to speak with him after they've just told him that I've started my periods. I think he was just as awkward as I was. I'm like, yeah, okay, bye, ciao. The interaction was quite quick. But yeah, most of them were females. My mother's mom, my grandma, was a nurse, and so she actually sat me down and we had the talk. And then my mom was like, Mom, take her to the room. Okay, they took me to the room. It actually became kind of like a ceremony. So sit down, so young girl. Do you know now the implications of having a period? Do you know what it means now? It means, and I'm not going to have the talk in front of you.
But did you have the hygiene talk as well?
We did.
The hygiene talk, and
we had the talk, and I knew then that certain things I had to definitely stay away of.
I was just going to say something so quickly. I was just thinking how interesting it is how we celebrate it. Well, it's celebrated, but now it's like this thing where no one like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so controversial how in the beginning when it does come, our whole family is so happy and surprised, and then. You know, I mean, now you're comfortable to speak. I mean, you're comfortable to speak about, but I think most women, maybe.
And that's the thing. We have to stop looking at the period as a bad thing, because it's got a lot of positive outcomes for your body. There is a reason why you need it. So it's a positive thing for your body. It's something positive. It's not something bad. Although sometimes it does bring a lot of pain with it, and a lot of adjustments, and a lot of mood swings, which we're going to talk about during the show. But one thing we have to change our mindset is we can't look at it as a bad thing, as an embarrassing thing. Yeah. It's a normal thing, just like sneezing, and when you go through emotions, tears drop. So it's a normal reaction of your body. But the way that it's viewed upon makes it seem like, such a negative thing, such a taboo thing. And I think when we change our mindset and we kind of look at it in a normal way, like you tend to look at it, then the way we view it will change. Now, most women experience the symptoms of PMS to some degree, whether it's the physical cramps or bloating, the emotional downs, or the foggy thinking and persistently negative thoughts. The truth is, PMS does make women moody, but the stress can result in similar mood situations. So either, what you're facing, what you're going through can either be stress or can either be PMS. They manifest themselves in a similar way. So now we're going to take a test that's going to explain whether the symptoms that you're going through are stress related or whether they're related to PMS. So are you ready to find out?
Go.
So maybe what you've been calling PMS all this time could actually be stress.
Imagine.
So is it really PMS? Is it really PMS or is it stress? That's what we're going to find out. Now it's a multiple answer test.
Okay.
So we're going to read a scenario, give you 3 answers. You're going to choose one of the 3, and then afterwards we'll be able to review the results for you. First question, besides having extreme emotional ups and downs, have you noticed any physical pain? Now, yes, I have cramps and headaches and my breasts are tender. No wonder I'm moody. Or B, cramps and headaches. Or C, oh yeah, I get major migraine headaches and sometimes I feel nauseated. So A, B, or C.
I need to combine a few of these.
No, A, B, or C. Don't complicate situations for us.
A, B, or C.
What's the tendency? So if maybe sometimes you go through one or the other, but what's the one that affects you the most times?
I'd like to say A, but I'd like to say C as well. But I'll say A.
Okay, so you tend to go for A. Well, how about you, Lily?
C, I'll go for C.
You
from
go
before. Because now I'm better, but from before, C.
For C. Now, do you get your cramps or headaches to go away? First, A, light stretches and exercises usually help. Sometimes exercises help, but taking a pain reliever always does the trick. Or every time my mind goes into overdrive, the headaches come back. So A, B, or C?
I'd say B, but I didn't I've never done a little bit of exercise to get rid of them. It's the last thing on my mind that I want to
Is
do.
it?
Yeah.
I learned that as a trick from a friend. So
Really?
yeah, but it didn't help with the headache. It just helped with the cramps.
Okay.
Yeah,
I might try that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, third question, do you notice any pattern to the timing of your mood swings? A, I would like to say the craziness starts about a week or two before my periods and stops a day or two into my period. B, I never really noticed a pattern to my moodiness. Or C, I've been moody and irritable for months, ever since my life got really complicated.
A out of those. If I have to pick one, it's A.
How about you, Lily?
Okay, so I know it's going to be straightforward, but because of the new hormones that are happening in my body, I have to say C, even though I do pressure myself, not pressure myself, but I do, you know, tell myself off like, Lily, come on, get out of that. But I have noticed that sometimes I can just be moody and emotional.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
like,
for
what's going
months
on?
So it's not like a timed moodiness.
It's the hormone. It's the tablets.
So from what I'm taking at the moment, my contraceptive, so they did say this would happen. It didn't happen straight away, but as the months have like come on,
It's making you feel depressed.
like it just makes me feel
Yeah.
like
But
if
then that's just a side effect from
Yes,
the,
exactly.
It's not what normally used to happen before.
No,
you had this.
exactly. It's
so
just a
what
side-
normally used to happen then before you
Oh,
started
okay.
contraception? Which of those were you?
oh
you
A
like,
then
A,
A.
yes. Let's not bring in side effects into this
I'm
equation.
sorry, but just in
Let's
case
not
there's a
complicate
woman
the
out
test.
there,
Of course,
because
yeah.
sometimes women think, you know, when you have contraception, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
No, I stopped
you know,
the contraception because of that. Sorry to come
Yeah.
off the,
Yeah.
but I didn't like the way it was affecting me.
yeah, no. Even I'm gonna be very honest with you. That's something I'm even planning to do in the
Yeah.
future because
Yeah.
it's something
but
that.
I mean, all of those side effects are explained
of course, yeah,
ahead of time.
Of
so the
course,
women
absolutely.
will know before they go on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they don't know how severe that is if they've never taken
So
contraception.
that's the thing, but it depends. Some friends are
We're
fine.
staring off
I
topic.
know.
Sorry.
We'll have to have another show on
We need
contraception.
to have another show on that.
Today
indeed.
we're sticking to that time of the month.
Time of the month.
So we're going to continue with the test.
Sorry,
Question 4. You ask your significant other, that would be your husband, how you look in jeans. He says you look great. And your reaction is A, oh, come on, be honest. What? They're a little tight. How could you say that to me? Or B, thanks. Are you sure? Or C, they look terrible. Forget I asked. I have bigger things to worry about than jeans. So
I'm
A,
B.
B, or C.
I'm
I'm
B.
B. Yeah.
That's what I'll go. Thank you. Are you sure? Like,
If I have to pick, I'll pick B.
You guys are complicated. So now, last question. When you wake up in the morning, do you feel like you've been grinding your teeth while sleeping? No. A, no. Unlike the rest of my body, my teeth do not seem to be affected by my mood swings. B, well, I did have drool on my pillow, but I'm not sure there was any grinding on. Or C, my husband says I sound like I'm chomping pebbles all night. I'm afraid I'm going to chew right through my mouth guard. So, for example, that mood tension, does it cause you to grind your teeth when you're sleeping? Like to really, sometimes you can even wake up with a tight jaw. That's actually happened to me before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Where I've been so tense that I've been like clenching and grinding clenching my jaw and grinding my teeth throughout my sleep and actually waking up with a tight jaw. I didn't even know what the cause was until the dentist explained
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing because sometimes some of my teeth have like little, I don't know how to explain it,
ridges.
and I didn't know why. But yeah, from before that, I did kind of grind my
So now
teeth.
to answer the
yeah.
question so that we don't get off the test.
So is that-
So what would you likely tend to go for? A, B, or C?
A.
A. So normally
Yeah.
the rest of your body and your teeth do not seem to be affected by the mood swings.
I think I have to go with B from before. I'm not sure if there was a grinding going on, but then when you do look at your teeth, you see the evidence. So
Okay.
even though you're not aware of it when you're
It's
sleeping,
very
Yeah.
true, yeah.
you see the
Yeah.
fact after. So.
And for you, it might be because you used to sleep alone for most of the time, so nobody would hear it to
Exactly.
give you feedback.
Yeah.
So now, okay, are you ready for the test? Reveal for the answer, for the results of the test. Can you remember what you've mostly chosen? Because if you've chosen mostly A's, then what you're going through is PMS. If you've chosen mostly B's, it's likely to be PMS. And mostly C's, it's not actually PMS. You're going through stress, and it's not PMS.
Oh,
So
going through PMS.
what did you guys mostly go
I
for?
said
I think you
C.
were mostly B's, so
Yeah.
it's likely PMS. You had some C's, but
yeah.
so that means in that situation it's not PMS, it's stress. Now we're going to take a short break, and don't go away. Take a look at the interesting women that will be joining us after the break. Next, we'll be hearing from Dr. Ashish Paul about how to manage our hormones, and we'll be joined in the studio by Helen McLaughlin with her story.
Anything that affects overall your stamina through the day, or if you are doing that kind of heavy work, all of those things will make their symptoms worse.
And you can keep a pain diary, but that doesn't necessarily describe your symptoms such as fatigue, headaches, aches, leg pain, etc. So.
Welcome back. So far on today's show, PMS, the good, the bad and the ugly. We've been discussing how our menstrual cycle affects us. Priscilla met with Dr. Ashish Paul, and let's hear what she had to say. Welcome back.
Hello, I'm a Thali street therapist with Ashish Paul. Hello, Ashish.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So you studied both Ayurvedic and medical herbal medicines. What do you believe are the advantages of combining both medicines?
Huge advantages. That is the way forward. Integrated medicine or integrative medicine, when we can use both of them together. And what we normally do, at least in my practice, or the people who are using integrative medicine, is that they are using modern medicine or allopathic medicine for acute symptoms. So anything which just comes up and you really want to quickly subside it down, you use that. But when you want to then use it for chronic conditions, then we put them on herbs.
How much do you think your menstrual cycle is affected by your work, and what can you do to manage this?
So anything that affects overall your stamina through the day, or if you are doing that kind of heavy work, all of those things will make their symptoms worse. So always, wherever you're working, if you can somehow, put that time in, or maybe speak to your employer, or even discuss that if you can take it a little bit easy, if you can. If you can't, then there are a number of other ways. What can they do at home in their own time? Premenstrual symptoms, or premenstrual tension as we know it, it has been taken to be pretty normal these days. Everybody thinks, okay, I'm going to have period and I'm going to have some discomfort of some kind. Although, according to Ayurveda, according to herbal medicine, if you are having a lot of pain, or even mild pain, is symptom of some kind of imbalance going on inside. So there are a number of things that I recommend. Food-wise, really keeping yourself light. So we normally recommend khichdi, which is a blend of rice and dal. So they can have that, make it more nutritious. And lighter foods always help us with the flow of what we call vata. So it will help with your periods to be not as painful. They can also use hot water bottle on their abdomen, on their back, even on their shoulders if there is more tension. And also if they can massage themselves at home.
What other conditions affect our menstruation, and what are the symptoms?
Okay, so there are a number of medical conditions that will affect the way you have your periods. One of them is endometriosis. We know that period flow becomes really heavy. It's extremely painful. And even before the period start, women is in agony. In women who have got fibroids or polyps of any kind, the blood flow is extremely heavy. There are lots of clots, and they may suffer from a lot of bloatedness as well around that time. There is polycystic ovarian syndrome that can affect the way your period flow is. In that case, there is more pain because the blood flow is very scanty. So it's much less than normal, and they can have more cramps as well. Other conditions, for example, if anybody is really having some kind of nutritional deficiency, if somebody is having any eating disorders, in terms of eating disorders, then women start to really get very, very light periods, or sometimes no periods at all, because if the body is not, it doesn't have enough nutrition, it's not good to produce any blood. Not every patient is the same. Not every woman is the same with this. There are a lot of things that we can do, and they overlap between both of them, although they are very different conditions. So polycystic ovarian syndrome, where there are a lot of polycysts in your ovaries, and it can affect the way your periods are. And in a typical scenario, the woman is also overweight. So they also have the issue with their periods that they're scanty and they may not be able to conceive. So normally what we need to look at, we need to really look at the diet, what they're eating every day. So we really have to monitor that. We have to monitor the lifestyle, how they are living their life, because that affects. Have a very gentle diet and no meat based diet. Cheese, dairy, milk products to be either none or really minimal. No sugar, no tea, coffee, completely cut down those, and we see improvements. But it takes time because PCOS is a lifelong predisposition. And I normally recommend herbs as well. Internally, you've got to take herbs to help you with the symptoms, because it's a range of symptoms depending whatever patient comes with. In endometriosis is mainly inflammation. It's an inflammatory process that is going on, starts from uterus, and it can then affect other parts around uterus as well, fallopian tubes and all those areas. So anything that can reduce that inflammation. So I prescribe herbs accordingly, and there are abdominal massages that we do to really ease their pain as well. Diet has to be looked at really meticulously. So I normally recommend organic food. I recommend that to anyone, but specifically to anybody suffering from hormonal issues and where hormones are involved. So again, plant-based diet would be really beneficial to really think about going vegetarian, if not even vegan, if that suits their lifestyle. And also to do exercise. I normally recommend a lot of exercise which is around this area, which if we have a sitting job, we don't do much exercise. So I recommend cycling and also really moving these bigger joints as well.
Thank you for having us here today. And it's back to you in studio.
Thank you, Priscilla. Now joining us in the studio is Helen McLaughlin, who was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2011, and now she volunteers for the Endometriosis UK to help other women with the same situation, same condition. Welcome, Helen. Glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
So now we heard a lot throughout the interview we had with Dr. Ashish Paul about endometriosis, but can you explain a little bit to our viewers what that is and how it affects you?
Yeah, so endometriosis is essentially you have your womb lining, which normally when you have your period it goes out by your period. Endometriosis is essentially where the womb line, cells similar to your womb lining grow outside of your womb and they infiltrate, and then obviously when you go through your monthly cycle they bleed, but there's nowhere for the blood to go, and that's what causes the adhesions and pain.
Okay, and how does that normally affect women emotionally and physically?
So there's a range of symptoms. The thing about endometriosis is that you can have one dot of it and be crippled by it. You can be riddled with it and not know that you've got it. Me, myself, my periods were normal. I had 4 days worth of bleeding, a couple of ibuprofen on the first day, fine. The week after my period is when I got pain, and that was obviously where the adhesions were forming and the blood was not escaping like it should do. So for me, it's not really related to my period, and in support groups we recommend that people keep symptom diaries, because you can keep a pain diary, but that doesn't necessarily describe your symptoms such as fatigue, headaches, aches, leg pain, etc. So it's very much specific to each person.
Now we hear about something so negative and so hard to deal with, and you've chosen to take that negative thing and turn it into a positive, and have chosen to help other women. So how is it that you help other women in Endometriosis UK?
So yes, it's a UK charity and we've got support groups all around the country. The purpose of support groups is to provide an open, understanding platform for people to, and their loved ones. We've got some parents that come and their children don't come. Anyone can come, and it's to share their knowledge, listen to others, gain experience. You might have a doctor that's recommended a treatment. You can then discuss it with everyone else and go, how did you find it? How is it? And it's the normality of it. You're with people that understand. You don't need to explain what a laparoscopy is. You don't need to explain, people get it. And while you're in that room, you are normal. whatever normal is, but it's just a really understanding space for people to make friends and educate. And knowledge is power, and part of coming to support groups is taking control of it and expanding your knowledge and developing it so that you can become your own expert.
So did you have to have a laparoscopy to determine that you had endometriosis?
So the only way to diagnose it officially is via laparoscopy.
Right.
So I've had 3 surgeries.
Can someone please explain for my generation that might be like, what does that mean? So you went to your GP and then...
So the average time to get diagnosed with endometriosis is 7 years at the moment. That's going to your GP repetitively. I was lucky, it probably took me 18 months.
So it can take up to 7 years for it to be actually...
average. I know people that have been 16 years.
Why is that? Because they can't diagnose?
It's not easy to diagnose. You have to have surgery. There are probably a few people in the country that can diagnose it from MRI scans, but that's not typical. That's really specialist. So the kind of standard is laparoscopy, which is keyhole surgery, to go in, have a look and see if you can find it. So obviously that costs money. It's not like as many women have got endo has got diabetes. So and diabetes, you do a blood test, don't you? You do a finger prick. You can't do that with endo.
So you have to constantly go to the doctor and complain that you're feeling that pain, and then
So what you're saying is, you were saying earlier on that we should monitor our symptoms.
Yes, all month round.
All month round. And if we find that we are feeling something's wrong, we need to go to the doctor. Like, for instance, if you have pains in your leg, if you have swelling, if you get hot, I'm just naming
some symptoms.
The symptoms for periods. If you have a migraine, if you have mood swings, if you have cramp while you're on your period, and then afterwards you still feel some sort of symptom, if you go to your doctor, they won't necessarily send you for a test?
No.
Right.
What they tend to do is try a different contraceptive pill. They'll try a different hormonal treatment and monitor you. And then if you keep repeatedly going back, that's why we always recommend keeping a symptom diary, because migraines, you might find they're cyclical, in which case, if it links into the week after your period or the week before, then, if your period's stopping you, do what a normal life is. Within a couple of days, obviously everyone takes paracetamol and whatnot. But if it's affecting you that much, then it's not normal. And it's talking about it as well, and not being afraid to put sanitary towels on the supermarket conveyor belt, because people put toothpaste out there. You should be able to do that. You should be comfortable to do that.
And so how do you think we can raise awareness regarding endometriosis? And get it out there so many women are aware that what they're going through may be endometriosis?
The important thing is to talk about it and realise what your normal is and find out what other people's normals are. And the conversations that you guys had earlier were perfect. Like, that's what you should be doing. I myself, my pain got that bad that I'd get my hot water bottle and put it just straight on my skin, and I had blisters across my stomach because I was burning myself, because that pain was nicer than the pain that I was in. That's not normal. It's not normal. You get women that it affects their bladder, their bowel, they have to have colostomy bags, stomas in their bladders. Like, the disease can grow anywhere it wants. Anywhere it wants to.
So now are you sorry. Are you, your symptoms now, you're being treated for those, and what's your treatment?
So at the moment I've got the Mirena coil. I had excision surgery in 2015. One thing that the charity is doing is working with the BSGE, and I can't remember what it stands for, British Society of Gynecological Endoscopy. They're specialist centres across the UK. You have to do X amount to become accredited, but that is like the gold standard of treatment to be treated there. So we've got a support group that we run at Guy's Hospital. We've got 2 endometriosis nurses that come, and they go above and beyond their duty, and they help so many women.
So thank you so much, Helen, for coming and sharing such eye-opening information. And I believe our viewers now have, an understanding that you may not have had before. And if you realize that, I'm going through situations that are not normal, that may not be considered normal, that my friends are not necessarily going through, do not be afraid to go to your doctor. Don't suffer in silence.
Indeed.
And now we're going to take a break, and after that we'll be back with more on PMS, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And here's a sneak peek of what's coming up after the break. Find out more about women's health at Women's Health Expo Be Fit. Welcome back to today's show, PMS, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, our team went to find out more about women's health at Be Fit. Watch what happened.
Today I'm actually hosting the main stage on Be Fit, so I'm bringing on all the personal trainers and having little Q&As with them and sort of, looking after all the guests and everything, and I'm doing that across the 3 days.
Well, I'm actually launching a women's sportswear brand at the end of May, so being here with all these lovely women is the best exposure I could get for the brand.
I work at Protein World within the nutritional department and marketing. I've worked for a long time training women mainly, and I've kind of learned a lot over the years about what kind of exercises help to burn fat fast.
So Gusto is the originator for delivering fresh ingredients specific to a recipe to your door. So it's all measured out for you, it's all fresh from our local farmers community, and all you need to do is cook it and then enjoy eating it.
I founded this company along with my brother, and we've both worked in the medical industry, and we found that with our company it's ideal for women that are on the go, who have a busy lifestyle, just actually encouraging women to eat much more healthier.
For me, women's health is super important. So first of all, I'm 46, right? I know, don't say it. Really? No, I don't look, I do. Yeah, no, I'm 46 and I'm pregnant actually, to be honest with you. And I think one of the main reasons why I've never really had problems in that area, okay, obviously people can have things that are biologically wrong with them that can make it difficult, but I think if you look after your health, then it helps with your fertility, it helps with everything. It keeps your body actually biologically younger. And I think really, with all this sort of busyness around it, it's just so important to look after your health. And women in particular, we're always looking after everybody else. So it's nice that we should take care of ourselves.
It's always affected my work, my menstrual cycle, if you like, and my endometriosis, what I was doing previously. So with this, setting up this company gave me a focus into kind of broadening the horizons for clean eating, clean living, and exercising. And that's made a massive difference in my life and impact as well.
It doesn't really, because I don't really have full-on periods.
When I have my period, I have to be honest, I am a little bit forgetful. And one of my main jobs is I present a show on the BBC, and it's a radio show, it's a health show. And I sometimes find that I just become, with the controls, sometimes every now and again I look at the desk and say, what am I doing? Literally, I almost have a brain fog of complete forgetfulness. I have no idea what I'm doing. And it only lasts for a few seconds, and then I'm back on it. But by that time, on radio, you've made a lot of mistakes.
So I got involved in women's hormones because I have a double degree with honours in clinical nutrition and exercise science. So I was always really interested in this, but actually I was an international athlete, so I competed for my home country, New Zealand. I live in London now, and I always struggled because I was always much heavier than a lot of my competitors, and I came under a lot of scrutiny from that. And really it wasn't until I then went back and studied functional medicine and endocrinology that I realised that actually hormones were actually the bigger part to play in weight control, and they are actually the main controller of our weight. Calories are a minor controller. So our menstrual cycle is actually a really good window into our health. So we can tell so much in terms of actually what's going on at a deeper level by how women's menstrual cycle is actually affecting. So we know if we can see difficulties there. So to be healthier during our periods, I think that we really need to be cognizant about actually what our body needs, and what our body often needs during that time is a lot of replenishment and actually a lot of the nutrients and enzymes that it needs to actually rebuild that uterus lining, you know, throughout that phase as well. So I think we just need to be really kind to our bodies. So we might be working out, doing a lot of kind of high intensity exercise, but maybe that's not quite what our body needs during that time. And it's different for different women. Some people can have that have absolutely no effects, whereas others, they get really affected by that. So I think it's really about listening to your body and understanding what you need during that time. So I think that our work is affected by a menstrual cycle if there's something going on. So periods should come and go. There should be no pain, there should be no premenstrual tension, there shouldn't be anything there. So if you're suffering from either of those and your work's suffering from it, it's generally due to that there's a deeper underlying cause or hormonal imbalance going on there. So I know that for a lot of people that probably sounds crazy that you can have periods without having pain, but actually that is the case, and for a lot of women that is real for them. But for so many, you know, due to things like endometriosis and other hormonal issues, they're actually suffering a lot during their period. And yes, it does affect their work, and I have seen this with a lot of my patients. But I think that if we focus on actually your work being affected, we're missing a whole big picture in terms of why that woman is affected in the first place and why her hormones and why she's suffering so much.
Well, that's definitely a very controversial opinion, right? But I actually like what she brought on, because many women tend to think, well, this is something that I'm resigned to live with. I have period pains, and I have endometriosis, and I have this condition, and I have my hormones imbalanced, and I have all of these things going on with me, and so I'm resigned to live with it. This is what's happened to my body. But she was bringing in a different challenge. That's not the normal. The normal, that's the abnormal. Instead of you being resigned to live with it, find out why that is happening and go back to the root and sort it out. And I thought that interesting. What did you think?
Yeah, I don't know if I said it on the show or off the show that, you know, your food affects like your periods, but I've noticed if before your periods you want all that chocolate, you want that sweet stuff, don't you? But if you change your diet, because I know that sometimes my diet is up or it's down, and Helen was saying about the dairy products, cut them out, etc. And I know that sometimes I do eat healthier than the next month, and I really do notice a difference. I don't exercise as I should, but even not exercising as I should, eating healthily, I actually do notice a difference.
Exactly. And one of the things as well that I actually did in my own life, which is PMS, because normally, I mean, my PMS, actually, my husband would notice. He'd be the first one to tell me, okay, your periods are coming. And I'd be like, why? No, your periods are coming. And then all the time I'd resist it, because for me, I'd be like, oh, I'm just bringing out an issue. No, your periods are coming. And truly, indeed, 3 days from there, 4 days from there, my periods would come. So he would pick up the change in my mood, which I wouldn't pick up, but he would. And so for a long time, I started, well, you know, having that as an excuse. Well, yeah, I'm going through PMS. This is it. This is something that I'm resigned to live with. It's unfortunately something that you have to be prepared to live with. Speaking to my husband and even the people around me, I'm sorry, I'm like this because of my PMS. But when I started to challenge myself to not, I actually made it a contest with myself. I was like, I want to get to my periods without him noticing. So I was like so determined to get to my periods without him noticing that they were coming once and ever, because it would have meant that he wouldn't have noticed the change in my moods, and it worked. So when I started to kind of challenge myself mentally and not accept it as normal, and start to look at other things, like she was saying, start to look at other alternatives that I can, you know, look into: exercise, eating well, finding ways to relieve stress, looking at things that calm you, whether it's meditation, you know, prayer, whatever it is that calms you. With me, it's always my faith. So anything that involves my faith, making sure that I do not accept that PMS as my normal and start challenging it and start doing things about it, then it started changing. And then I did get to that point where he doesn't even notice. I'm like, oh yeah, they're here. Oh, I didn't know. And so he wouldn't pick it up. And that for me was like, yes, victory. So we shouldn't be resigned. I know that we've spoken a lot about how it can affect you negatively on today's show. And it does. I mean, those things do happen. You do get pain. You do get sometimes symptoms that are unpleasant, mood swings, stressful situations. But if you choose not to allow that to be your normal, and you look at things that you can do to beat that normal and to change that normal and to overcome that normal and change it into a different positive normal. You've seen from our guest, from Helen, you've heard from, you know, the video that we've just had from certain other people that Dr. Ashish that was here on the program or that was interviewed, not necessarily here with us. You've heard from different people that this, you know, these symptoms that are negative, this bad and ugly can be challenged until you only focus on what's good. So don't resign to what is bad. Don't resign to these symptoms, and don't think that that's how you're meant to be, to suffer for the rest of your lives. There are things that you can do to turn that situation around. Definitely research, definitely look at what you can do regarding your diet, what you can do regarding controlling your moods, what you can do regarding exercise. You know, take all that information in, start researching, and start turning this bad and this ugly into only good. So today we're gonna end today's show with just PMS, the good.
Ooh, I like that.
It's not bad and it's not meant to be ugly at all. Well, you've heard from us. Now we'd like to hear from you. Do you have tips? Do you have things that you have done that have actually turned the situation around, that have made living with PMS or living with menstruation not a negative thing? Do you have tips to share with us? Let us know on Twitter, on Facebook or Instagram, or email us at comments@dkw.me, and join us next week for another exciting episode of A Different Kind of Woman. And that's it for today.
This program is brought to you by UCKG.